That morning was supposed to be the start of peace in my life, but instead, within an hour of unloading my truck, the HOA president called the cops on me, screamed that I had no right to even park in front of my own house, and told me I'd regret ever moving here. 8 months later, that same woman was stripped of every ounce of power she thought she had, because it turned out I owned the very road she tried to use against me. My name's Timothy Walker. I'm 68, a retired carpenter widower just trying to live out the rest of my days by the lake. I bought that little cabin through an estate sale, imagining quiet mornings, fishing, maybe some woodworking in the garage. Instead, the first sound I heard wasn't birdsong, but a woman's voice that could peel paint off a wall. I was backing my moving truck up to the door when she came charging out, flailing her arms like she was directing airplanes in a storm. "You cannot park here, this is my private road," she shrieked, dialing 911 in front of me. I thought she'd lost her damn mind. That was Angela King. 52 years old, self-appointed queen of the lake, running the homeowners association like her personal fiefdom. Her husband had supposedly died in a traffic accident, and she turned that tragedy into a weapon. She waved around laminated ordinances she'd written herself fines for anyone who broke her rules, and somehow the neighbors just nodded and obeyed. The cop who showed up that day tried to calm her, said I had every legal right to park while moving in, but Angela just glared at me with this cold certainty and hissed, "You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." At first, I tried to brush it off. New neighbors, maybe she was grieving, maybe she was just overprotective. But it didn't stop. She stood outside while I carried furniture, muttering to herself, staring at me like I was an intruder. Within a week, she slipped a $500 violation notice under my door, claiming my moving truck had broken her memorial safety protocol. The other families avoided me, eyes down, when I tried to wave. That was when I realized they were terrified of her. I spent nights walking circles in my living room, replaying her words. What had I moved into? Was I too old for this kind of fight? After my wife died, I'd promised myself I'd find peace. Instead, I'd landed in some suburban nightmare. One night, staring at a stack of fake violation letters, I caught myself thinking, maybe I should just sell this place and get out. Maybe she's right. Maybe I don't belong here. For a moment, I felt weak, small, like I was the crazy one. But 30 years of carpentry taught me one rule. Document everything, don't let anyone bully you off your own job site. So I installed cameras, saved every scrap of paper she gave me, and called an old friend, Emily Cooper, now a property lawyer. Emily dug through county records, spreading dusty deeds and surveys across my kitchen table. That's when she looked up, eyes wide. "Timothy, this is bigger than you think. Your cabin was the original homestead on this lake, that road. It was your driveway. You own it." The shock almost knocked me out of my chair. All this time, Angela had been screaming about her private road when the deed said it was mine. The other cabins only had easement rights permission to use it. Suddenly, her power didn't look so solid, and then David, a neighbor who'd once been HOA treasurer, slipped me an envelope. Inside were records proving Angela had siphoned over $120,000 from a so-called memorial fund into a shell company she ran herself. I went from powerless old man to the guy holding dynamite, but I had to be careful. Angela was cunning. She staged HOA meetings like court trials in her living room. I walked into one, and she announced me as the violator of our community protocols, slapping another fine notice on the table. She read her ordinance like scripture, and the others just nodded in fear. That night, Emily and I planned our move. We'd show the documents at the next meeting, expose the fraud, and pull her mask off in front of everyone. The night of reckoning came fast. Angela filled the community center with her papers, her projector, her rules. She pointed at me in front of 40 neighbors and declared I was harassing a grieving widow, endangering everyone's safety. The crowd murmured in agreement. For a second, I felt that hopeless pit open again. What if she wins? What if no one believes me? My hands shook as Emily stepped forward. Before we discuss Timothy's so-called violations, she said the community deserves to know where their money has gone. On the projector, she displayed bank records showing Angela paying herself through Lakeshore Memorial Safety, consulting a fake company registered to her own P.O. box. Gasps filled the room. Angela stammered, tried to spin it as grief counseling. But Emily kept going emails with a luxury resort developer promising Angela $800,000 if she delivered the neighborhood for redevelopment. That's when Angela snapped. She leapt up, eyes wild, shouting that Michael, her dead husband, visited her every week and approved every decision. She gestured to the air beside her, arguing with a ghost in front of everyone. "The resort will honor his memory. He wants this," she cried. Phones were out, neighbors recording as her entire authority crumbled in real time. One woman stood, tears in her eyes. She'd donated thousands to the memorial fund. "Angela, are you telling us our money went to luxury resort planning?" Angela's reply sealed her fate. The dead know what's best for the living. Michael's spirit guides all financial decisions. The room went silent. Then the shouting started, neighbors demanding answers, calling her a thief, a liar, a fraud. Angela's face twisted between rage and panic, but there was no escape. She'd confessed on camera, destroyed her own credibility. By unanimous vote, she was removed from HOA leadership that night, stripped of access to the fund, forced to hand over everything to legal authorities. I sat there in the front row, heart pounding, watching her world collapse. The woman who once screamed that I had no right to even park now had nothing left. And the cruelest twist the road she used to terrorize us. The deeds proved it belonged to me. From that day on, every delivery truck, every visitor to Angela's cabin needed my permission to pass. Sometimes justice doesn't come with cheers or fireworks. Sometimes it's quieter. Sharper, the look on a tyrant's face when they realized the power they wielded was never theirs to begin with. The lesson: never underestimate the truth in your back pocket. It can turn the road they tried to block you with into the road you own.